I'm Cassie Davis. I'm married to Scott. We have 2 kids, Lily and Ella. Lily just graduated high school, and Ella will be in 7th grade. Scott is a 3rd-generation dairy farmer in Prairie Grove. It was eye-opening to see what was actually put into, especially a dairy, because it never has a break. It's twice a day milking, it's constant feeding, and then you're putting up your forages, and it never stops and it never lets up. The dairy industry has had so many ups and downs. I mean, we saw great income, we saw devastating years. In 2014, the milk barn burnt down. It would have been the perfect time to sell out, but we decided that it had made a good life for us, and so we were gonna go ahead and continue to milk. And so we rebuilt the barn in a 30-day period, brought the cows back and started milking again. And 2014 was the last good year. It became a struggle. Input costs were high, milk prices were low, cattle prices were low. So I've gone through a series of kind of just trauma in my family. In 2019, my grandma had a stroke. February of 2021, my grandpa was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. In June of 2021, my dad unexpectedly passed away from a heart attack. And then within 3 weeks, my grandfather passed away. Fast forward just a little bit to 2022, and Scott was going to have a knee replacement surgery. He had battled a bad knee for years and years, and he put it off as long as he can. And his pre-op blood work showed leukemia. As things happened in my family, and then with Scott's diagnosis, and his knee replacement had to be halted, and we had to start chemo, and he finally was able last summer to get his knee replaced. Well, in the midst of planning for that, we decided it would be best to sell out. There are times that we miss it, especially Scott. It's the first time in a long time that there haven't been cows here milked, but we still do have a couple of small herds of Holstein heifers, and we have beef cows, and we just finished our first year of hay production and sales, and it's been a definite change. So my first experience with mental health, I think, was probably with my dad. He was a preacher, but he was also a first responder and a fireman and a chaplain. And that takes such a huge mental toll that people don't realize. And so whenever I came into the farm, I already had this background knowledge of what it looks like to have a lot of mental stress. In agriculture, most of the time, farmers are generally isolated. They work on their own. They're independent. Maybe they farm with their family or with some friends, but generally speaking, they're running around from farm to farm, and it takes its toll, and it's just not something that you talk about because everybody does it. Everybody endures it. And so we miss a lot of what puts stress on a farmer. Something that's taken for granted in agriculture is that the farmer is at the mercy of everyone, at the mercy of the supplies they need, at the mercy of whoever brings the feed. The input costs are never set. We can't pick and choose what we pay for that. It's market set. We don't make it and then get to demand a price for our product for the most part. We get whatever market value is. We're at the mercy of the weather. We're at the mercy of a hauler's fee. We're at the mercy of everything. And that doesn't translate well for someone who likes to control everything. And so throughout, from 2019 to 2022, those things that just kept happening, that kept showing us how little control we have in any area of our life. I saw it take a toll on Scott, but I knew it took a toll on me. I began counseling because I just couldn't cope with what was going on at the farm, plus all of the other things, the stresses on my family. My mom and my grandmother became widows within 3 weeks of each other. The only thing that carried me through fully is my faith. But there is no doubt in my mind that with faith, and because God allows it, there's counseling, there is medication. We have the resources. We're blessed to be in America where those resources are literally at our fingertips. If we can't be somewhere, we can get on our computer and have a Zoom counseling session, or have our medication brought to our doorstep. I think that it's really important for you to sit down and sort of lean into that and study your life in your mind, even though it's scary sometimes, and be like, what can I do to benefit myself? What can I do to benefit my family? Because some people look at it as, well, that would be a selfish time for me to take away from my family or from my farm or from my life, and it's just not. There is so much power and freedom in realizing that getting help isn't just for you. It has benefited my children and my relationship with my husband, my relationship with my mom and my grandmother. It has changed the dynamic of my whole life. We're only made to handle so much on our own. I mean, you know, the Bible says to bring our burdens and our cares to God. And I think that's the first step, you know, you take it there. The next step, I think, is to take it to a counselor, or take it to a doctor, or take it to someone who can help you sort through it. All you're really doing in counseling is taking the things that are inside of you and sorting through them just like you would the mail. You're tossing out the junk mail, and you're keeping the bills, and you're keeping the things that you have to pay for, and you're also keeping those sweet letters or those sweet invitations or those sweet thank you notes. And it teaches you how to see that good stuff despite the stuff that's not so good.